Hey guys, it's Ken.
And Shell.
Welcome back to the Effortless Podcast.
Feels good to be back.
We say that every week.
I know.
It is. I like being in the podcast room, which is,
I know, it's enjoyable.
You just stayed here last night, so it's like a hot mess in front of us, but...
I made my bed.
Are you serious?
Frankie walked in this morning and she goes, "What happened to your bed?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I just put the pillows and sheets back." She's like, "You slept in that?" And I was like, I don't understand what's so dramatic about it.
Upstairs and she said, "Mom, Shelly has like 5 pillows stacked on top of each other." And she like puts them on top of her head and stuff.
I didn't. What?
I said, "Yeah,
I
she's
never,
a wild sleeper."
I never said that. Although I do make like a pillow cocoon around myself so that I can like any way I turn, I'll be on a pillow.
Yeah, that's
during the night.
I have, remember in college I used to have the neck brace?
Yes.
I would like wrap a blanket around my neck. Don't do that anymore.
Well, you have a husband and children now, so you don't sleep by yourself.
But regardless, I feel like it still is like cozy.
It is cozy.
Maybe I'll get back into the neck brace game. Anyways.
Now Greg gets your cozy.
My cozy? No, homeboy's been snoring, so I drop kick that man. I would not be surprised if he woke up with bruises.
Because you kick him?
Oh, I kick him so hard or I like smack him and he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Stop snoring." It's so annoying. That's like the snoring situation. Nope.
That's so funny.
Here,
my dog snores. Jojo snores pretty loud. Except for it's almost like a comforting noise to me now. Like if Carly or my sister spends the night or something, her and her husband like cannot stand it. But it's funny because to me it's like, oh, that's just like my...
Cute.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. It's like my sound machine.
Yeah, not what I do when Greg snores. Oh,
it's not your reaction.
That's funny. Before we get into our topic, should we talk about fashion trends?
Yes. Well, we're mainly talking about this because we went shopping yesterday.
A fashion trend.
And we're really curious on everybody's perspective on... I know, that just popped out. Their opinion on barrel jeans.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, I ordered a pair like last week. They have not arrived yet. And I was very skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
They're cute, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like in my head, I imagine barrel jeans being most flattering on like someone who's like really like petite and little.
Mm-hmm.
But then yesterday we went to Free Peeps and tried on the barrel jeans, at least this in pair.
Yeah.
And actually so flattering.
Yeah. I feel like they are exceptionally flattering on you for sure.
Is it because they make your legs look like bow-legged almost so that it's like you have like big thigh gap?
Maybe. I don't know. Like there's something about them for sure. Whoever is like these fashion experts who make them obviously know what to do to make different areas of people's body like stand out more to like make it more attractive.
They're way more attractive than mom jeans.
I don't really... What is the mom jeans? Is it like oversized?
Like baggy kind of high-waisted?
Baggy oversized jeans do not look good on my body
This
type.
is my other thing. My newer thought is I was always like, I need the high-waisted to like, hold all the mom parts in. But then I tried low-waisted.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I'm like, I feel like they're so much more flattering because it hits like where you button them. It hits like, well, for me, like right where my C-section scar is. So it's almost like when you have the high-waisted, it like accentuates the like little pooch sitch. You wouldn't know, but it's mothers. But when it hits right at the pooch, well, you can't wear like any sort of short shirt with that situation because then you got like love handles bubbling out the top.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But back to
I do kind of feel like lower jeans are coming back. They're going to like creep back into style.
Which I thought I was going to be anti-low rise. And then I tried them. I was like, okay, actually, surprisingly flattering.
Yeah.
And the barrel jeans, surprisingly flattering.
Yeah.
So.
Cute. I just don't like jeans. I'm such not a jean person.
I know.
I need to change that.
You just need to find ones that fit you good.
Yeah.
Which I for sure is ones you have. I don't know.
The barrel jeans. Whatever.
I should get some barrel jeans.
But they are cute. Barrel jeans we're fans of.
Barrel jean.
Mm-hmm.
And yes. Okay. That's
we like it.
Tidbit out.
In case you're wondering.
Our take on the barrel jean trend. We like it.
We're into it.
Okay. into our actual topic of perspective.
Mm-hmm. I think I've said this word like 30 million trillion times.
Especially this season. I feel like
I
I've
know.
said perspective like so many times. So we decided why not just do an episode on perspective?
Because here we go. Anyways, I feel like we should start with a definition of it. So I found an article.
You're really good at finding articles these days.
Well, I've done it for the last many years of my life in school.
Mm-hmm.
This one is by the Forward Foundation, VA. It was published August 16th
We don't need
of 2023. Do you want me to read up? I'm just kidding.
No.
Okay, so the Oxford Dictionary defines perspective as...
What about the urban? We have the urban.
We should have.
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
That's a good idea.
I won't interrupt.
It's defined as a particular attitude toward or... Wow, I need to hold this up. Okay. Particular attitude toward or way of regarding something, a point of view. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like that's weird. But anyways, so basically like...
It shapes our thoughts, emotions, actions, and can greatly impact our overall well-being.
Yeah.
I just would like to throw that in there.
Mm-hmm. So honestly...
It's like the way you see something or like the way that you interpret life or a situation or what you're going through.
Yeah, but it just has such a huge impact. Like that's why it's so important is because like how you think about something or your perspective on it is literally your belief about it.
Right.
So,
and if you have a negative belief about it or a negative like attitude about it, you're bound to have a lot more like issues and then like at higher risk of depression and like health issues because it's like you're focused on the what could go wrong instead of what could go right, like the Thomas Rhett song.
Oh, wow. Can you sing it for us?
I can't think of the actual like I can't, but that is a Thomas Rhett song. I like it.
Yes, I agree. So I feel like we just feel like this is so important because it can have such an impact on your daily life, but even like your just like whole attitude
and,
or
like,
your own
life and day to day and like how you think about life.
Yeah.
And it either like shapes it in a positive way or a negative. I feel like people that have negative attitudes and are like poor me and like everything is out to get me or whatever have the like perspective of negativity where like the people that are like, okay, I got this and I can get through this, whatever, have the better attitude perspective.
And I feel like to kind of tie this into our last episode of that we were talking about trauma the last couple times. And I feel like people who, to kind of tie them together, like if you go through anything hard in life, and it doesn't have to be trauma, but like any difficult situation in general, like your perspective, like you can either learn from it and have a good perspective and come out the other side like better, like a better person and like have a better outlook and like you just in general are so much more joyful. Or you come out of it the other side and you're like, this sucks. Everything sucks. My life sucks. And I'm not saying that's like, I mean, there's obviously there's like very hard things to overcome. But in general, it's just so much better to be happy.
Oh my gosh. So much better.
Or I mean, it feels so much better.
Yes.
It feels so much better.
Yeah. And it's like pretty simple. I mean, I think it's like so many people I think have. I don't know I think that it is totally like how you're brought up as far as like what your parents like are like. I think it has a lot to do with like your perspective on life and stuff. But I mean, as far as like gaining a positive perspective, do you think that it's something that people naturally either are like prone to be negative or positive as far as like their perspective?
My personal belief, I do feel like a little bit of that is like
personality.
I do believe that there is a little bit of that, but I also believe that you can work at it to become more positive or to develop a more positive perspective on life.
Feel like there has been a time in your life where because I feel like you have a good perspective in life in general, but you've obviously been through some trauma. And do you feel like there was times during that you were like struggling with your perspective or do you feel like you through the entire situation you were like, I'm fine. This is great. I got this under control, or it's
My life's
thriving, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or did you have like poor me moments?
I think overall, I feel like I kept and had a pretty good perspective, but I have to say that all came from my upbringing, because my parents, coming from a Christian household, like, we were just taught to be so thankful for what we had.
Yeah.
And I feel like being thankful for something automatically kind of gives you
like a different perspective,
a better perspective.
Yeah.
And so, of course, like, especially during my relationship stuff, I even feel like during my dad's death, my mom's cancer, like, obviously those were like hard things, but I feel like my relationship was probably maybe the hardest time where I had the worst perspective. But I don't feel like it was ever, I never got to a point where I was like, I give up, my life sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
There was times when I'm like, this is really hard and I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. But I feel like I am very thankful in the way I was raised to continue to have a good perspective. And I feel like you are very similar. Like, your parents are like the most positive people ever. It was so funny actually the other day. So Kenz's parents are like literally the best people ever. And we love them. And they were at it was Kenz's son Nash, his basketball game. And they had lost like pretty bad, or like the score was like very uneven. And of course, her parents just like after every game, they're just so sweet. And they're like, we are so proud of you. Like, you did. And they'll like point out things that you did really well. And it's like, of course, like Nash did do really good. But then I was looking at Ken's like, now seeing it like
You're
from
I think in basketball in
yes.
college, like they just would tell us we did really good all the time. Yes. And like, for sure.
So we weren't like, I'm like, dang, maybe we weren't as good No, I'm just joking. Of course we were. But
no, I do agree, though, that I feel like my parents have always had like a very positive attitude, or they've always harped on like attitude. And like growing up, I feel like so much was like, just have a good attitude. And like that was a huge, huge part, I feel like, of their parenting, no matter the situation, to just like attitude makes a really big difference. And if you have a good attitude through something, like it's just going to be better for you. And I feel like they said that, but then they also acted that way too. Like, I feel like I can't even really think of a time where my parents were like negative. I feel like they've both always been like very positive people that have seen like the glass half full situation. And so I do think that I agree, like the same situation as far as the upbringing definitely like shapes
for sure
your norm.
Yeah. And I feel like another thing to point out with your parents is I feel like they always harped for you girls to be very flexible. Like, if something didn't go 100% your way, it's like, there's no reason to be upset. Like, I feel like they
like adapt and adjust to like.
Yes. Which is also, I feel like, a good perspective to have. Like,
sure. And I feel like Greg has a pretty good similar view as far as like, he's very like pro adjust and adapt.
Yeah.
Which is also sort of like a sports.
Yeah. Attitude. Something that you can learn from sports. Yeah.
I feel like I'm just rambling on.
A good qualification.
Good qualification. Is there any other details about any information that you researched?
Okay, yeah. In this article, something that I wanted to mention, because I feel like this is something that I have learned through trials in my life. And I feel like it's just something else that goes along with perspective. So this is like an exercise you could do to try to develop a better perspective.
Oh, we didn't talk about this. You didn't tell me about this.
No.
This is a surprise.
Surprise. I mean, obviously, like this almost would be like in a counseling session or something, but still like a good thing. Anyways, so it would be a good exercise. So 1, before starting an important conversation with a family member or colleague at work, stop and ask yourself these 3 things, which I feel like, okay, never mind. I'm just going to answer them.
Let's hear the 3.
1, how might this person be feeling? 2, what are his or her values and beliefs? And 3, what are his or her motives?
Okay.
So, like, I feel like no matter what relationship, like, you could be talking to Greg, like, you could be coming to Greg, like, so frustrated about something. But if you sat and thought about these 3 things before you
have the conversation.
Asked him or said what you were going to say, number one, your perspective would probably change.
Yeah.
And
what you would say to him would probably change as far as the way you're like projecting your thoughts.
And it immediately makes you put yourself in their position, which is something that is really hard to do. And a lot of people are not good at that.
Yeah.
But it's so important. And then it automatically like gives you a different perspective of like, wow, how would I adjust or how would I go about resolving this conflict?
Right.
And it just helps the resolution become better. It just like sets both people up for success immediately before you've even started the conversation.
And so, probably, I would guarantee in a lot of situations, if you were to like say these things to yourself, you'd be like, okay, wait, actually, I don't even need to have this conversation because I'm like talking myself off the ledge. And I think that like we're so quick to be so selfish and like it's all about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we forget to think about like the other person and their perspective. Which I once again will say Greg is very good, sometimes too good at this, where I'm like, about like some situation. And he's like, think of it from their side, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's such a good person.
He is such a good person.
He's very like slow to be like, you know, aggressive in those situations. And I feel like there has been multiple scenarios where I do feel like, and then he's like, okay, think of it from their perspective, like whatever. And I'm like, you're right.
And it just like calms you down immediately. Well, yes or no, but it just is like such a good tool to use before like attacking somebody.
Yeah. Right.
And even for something small, or you know what I mean? Like you just are really looking at it from their perspective. And another thing is you would want someone to do this for you.
Totally.
Too. Treat others how you want to be treated.
I say that to the kids, and then Frankie will be like, why are you yelling at me? Treat people like you want to be treated. I'm going to yell at you because you're yelling at me. And I'm like, I'm not yelling, first of all.
So you guys just continue yelling at each other.
So
I'm allowed to yell.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but it's true. Okay, so should we talk about our takeaways as far as like three ways, like if you feel like you need help adjusting your perspective or kind of some different tips to be like, okay, I know my perspective in this situation or life is not where it should be, or I want a better, more positive perspective. What the heck can I do?
Yes. One thing that
Let's talk about
there's like an inside joke between me, Kenz, my sister, and her husband is when I was like kind of going through towards the end of my relationship and I was like really starting to become more positive. And I was literally sat down and was like, writing out everything I was super thankful for. And like the number one thing, and I mean this like 100%, like it became more of an inside joke, but being born in the USA.
Born in the USA.
I was like, even like, you don't think about that every day.
That like
you do, like you live in a country where you have like rights and you're free and you can literally do anything you want. And I was like, wow, I'm like, because there's like wars going on everywhere and there's like all these tragic things happening in the world. And in the US, like you're so like safe, you know, from a lot of things. And so I wrote that down and I was telling them that. And so now if I'm ever like complaining about something, my sister just will say, Shelly, where were you born? And I'm like, okay, you're right.
And then you play Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
And then it's fine. Then whatever stupid thing I was complaining about is gone.
Right. That's good. Which is kind of like, we can change this order, but one of the things is writing down like at least 3 things that you're thankful for or grateful for. And I think that does put everything in perspective. It's like, okay, let me write down these things. And then you're like, wow, I actually do have a lot of positive in my life and a lot of things that.
Yeah. Because like, think of how many things during the day get like, there really aren't issues. They're just inconveniencing. So like traffic or spilling your coffee or like things that are super frustrating. Yeah. Or like this coffee wasn't made right. Super annoyed.
Yeah. But like
for sure.
Problems.
100%. And then you're like, wow, I have healthy kids and I have a husband and I have a house.
Yeah. Like there's so many things.
So yeah, like that should oversee
the too light of brown of coffee.
Yeah. Or the car that's going 15 miles in front of you in a 35 mile per hour.
But it is true. Like when you step back and you're like, okay, this is like so petty and ridiculous. It helps to kind of like put your mind in check and be like, okay, what am I even complaining about?
Yeah. For sure.
Jinx. The only on Coke. Second thing is use mindfulness and identify your negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is something where you have to like really commit to doing, and this is something that you just have to be accountable for. Yeah. I could not think of the word accountable. But when you start thinking, or once you start identifying thoughts that you're having that are negative and being aware of them, and then using mindfulness, so just being like, okay, in this moment, like identifying the negative thoughts and then just trying to twist them into basically what we were just saying, into something, a positive way. But the more you do that, the more it's just going to become habit, and then it's going to just become better. And
I feel like there is such a, like it can just be such a spiral. Like if you have the attitude and mindset of like, for me, negativity and like everything's like out to get me and my life is so hard, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a spiral where like,
totally,
even if you just like slowly, like if there's a couple things that like every day, even like dumb things, like every day on the drive to school, I'm like, oh, I'm so annoyed that I am behind this truck and I'm going to be late for school because that's my issue. Anyways, so we get out of the house so late. And I have to walk the kids inside of the school instead of drop them off in the car drop-off line. Like dumb things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like even like little things like that, like, okay, no, my kid's going to go to this like great school and I get to hold their hand into the school in my
But just being mindful, I feel like that's a really good example. That could be like, that could like lead on to that could ruin your day.
Yeah.
Like
I don't let it ruin my day, but I feel like, but even just, it's a dumb example, honestly, but as far as just being aware of even like small little negative thoughts you have or complaints that you have and trying to like see the good in it and then change that thought.
Yeah. Because the better perspective you have at the beginning of the day, then it's like going to roll into
setting
the rest of your day.
Which is even, I feel like a good, like as far as what we already talked about, writing the things you're grateful for.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to start your day. As far as it just like sets the tone for your day, as far as like, okay, these are the things I'm grateful for, and we're gonna go have a great day and make it a great day. Which is why I feel like it's
today.
Every time I feel like I do it like a devotional in the morning, I feel like my day is already automatically better.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of being committed to that
every day.
Yeah,
yeah, no, for sure. What's our last one? Oh no, well, no, okay, sorry, no.
Third one is somebody who can help keep you accountable.
Yes. So this could be like, obviously, my Kenzie is my accountability. My sister's balling, she just does it, even if I don't ask her.
She's like, let me give you a piece of mind. Totally.
But just somebody who will like graciously help you. I don't think it has to be harsh.
A higher standard.
But if you're like texting them or whatever, I also do think that there is like there's a line, like you can be annoyed or like vent or, you know, I mean, that's life. Like it's not like Kenz and I just go through the day and we're just like, nothing is annoying. We're so not annoyed ever.
So annoying.
Yeah. I feel like that's so not true, but just somebody who would be like, if it's literally like ruining your day or putting you in a bad mood or something, that someone would be like, hey, let's look at it from this perspective and just kind of like help you out to help you get into slowly getting into that mindset.
And like, I think it's easy too. I feel like finding somebody who, because I feel like it's easy to just complain to a friend or like get in the habit of even like, okay, well, you're my safe space, so I can just complain to you about everything, which is true in a lot of ways, but also just being mindful of like, okay, and then is the other person feeding into this complaining or being like you said, kind of be, you know, just changing the perspective or giving you a different perspective on the other person or whatever it's even about, or, you know, just to make sure that
you don't keep spiraling down into the bad perspective.
Yeah. I feel like I cannot explain myself today to save my life. I feel like I'm just rambling, so you can just cut me out of this whole podcast.
And normally you're really good at explaining yourself.
It's really rude. I'm better.
No, you're very good. You're very good at explaining writing. Like
even
written.
Like if Greg and I get in an argument, I feel like I am like,
you're like, go in the next room. I'll text it to you.
I'll leave and I'll like text him a long text. Like, this is actually what I meant.
But I feel like that's such a personality trait. Like some people are. That's how like writers are really good at writing their feelings. Like Thomas Rhett is really good at like writing his Actually, Kelsey Ballerini, I feel like, is really good at that. Like, their songs are good because it's like they're better writing them. But then,
do you know that they're not good verbalizing them?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I just imagine them.
Okay.
Maybe they're good at both.
Yeah, I don't know.
J. Cole. He's good.
Yeah, but I do feel like I'm way better at writing things down than explaining things verbally. Remember in basketball when I would always have to explain the quotes, and it was like, I think she'd choose me to explain the quotes just because she knew I was going to struggle.
Yeah.
But anyways, past that, learned a lot of great quotes. Is there anything else you want to add about barrel jeans, perspective?
Okay, well, I just want to say 3 things that perspective can offer you. Resilience, growth, and self-awareness.
Love.
All very good traits to have.
Basically, the moral of the story is like, with anything, if your perspective is positive and if your attitude is positive and you try to see the good in situations and people and see things from the other side and not judge all of the things, like, it's just going to help you. Like, complaining and whining and being like, poor me, like, sometimes it feels good for a hot second, like, whatever. But then it's like, no, that's just causes like depression and loneliness and like bad health and just spirals.
Yeah. And honestly, like you were just saying, it's worse for you. Like, it's honestly more of like, you can almost think of it in like a selfish way. Like, this makes you feel better.
Right.
More, it's not like you're like making all these other people feel good. Like, it truly just makes yourself feel more at peace, more joyful.
Totally.
Which is just like such a better feeling. Didn't you have something about blood pressure?
It's one of the benefits.
Okay.
It lowers your blood pressure if you have a good perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. One perspective I'm working on.
Oh, yeah.
Is,
maybe we should talk about perspectives.
Well, I think mom perspective is something. Mom bod perspective.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
As far as like, you know, I'm about to get all my varicose veins blasted, which is exciting. But it's like, you know, after you have babies, it's hard to like look at your body and be like, oh, wow, it's so great, you know? But then
I brought humans into the life.
When you think that's the perspective of like, no, there's a lot of people that actually can't have babies or that don't have, like, you know, have all.
Like, they would give anything to have your body because they get to have a baby. Yeah.
So I think that that's something to be aware of as far as like being a mom and not having like a negative, which, you know, like the whole negative self-image thing.
Yeah.
But especially like once you are a mom and it's like, of course, your body doesn't look the same and it's not like what you maybe want it to be, but to just like, once again, be grateful that you have kids or that you, you know.
Yeah, that's really good.
Still have a body that moves and can do crazy things. Whatever that may mean to you.
Right. Oh, my gosh.
That's all. A little tidbit.
I feel like that was a very good perspective.
But I do hate my varicose veins, which is why I'm getting them blasted.
Right.
Shoot those things out. But I'm really grateful for 3 healthy kids.
Yeah. Spicy little ones.
That's all. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us on the Effortless Podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening right now. And find us on Instagram at Kenz and Chill. Have a good week.